US-Iran 2026, the missile war. The modern battlefield, where the missile dominates and there are few places to hide. Global energy flows depend on a handful of critical maritime choke points. Among them are the Straits of Malacca, the Suez Canal, the Bab-el-Mandeb, and the Straits of Hormuz. However, the Straits of Hormuz stand apart. Nearly 20% of the global oil trade and a significant portion of the LNG passes through this narrow corridor daily. No other checkpoint combines such volume, geographic constraint, and strategic vulnerability. In operational terms, Hormuz ranks number one globally for immediate impact on oil price markets. Even limited disruption has disproportionate global consequences. Majority disruptions are to China, Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan. Shipping through Hormuz follows a strict traffic separation scheme. There is one inbound lane into the Persian Gulf and one outboard lane towards the Gulf of Oman. Each lane is approximately 2 miles wide, separated by a buffer zone. This means that all tankers must follow predictable fixed routes. Maneuver space is extremely limited and disruption affects both directions simultaneously. This constraint makes the strait highly efficient in peacetime, but extremely vulnerable during combat. Following recent tensions and ceasefire conditions, shipping patterns show cautious normalization, but not full confidence. Three key trends are visible. Firstly, anchorage buildup. A number of tankers remain parked outside the strait, particularly in the Gulf of Oman, waiting for clarity on safety and insurance conditions. Second, the phased movement. Traffic has resumed, but is controlled flow, often slower transit, grouped in convoy-sized movements. And thirdly, insurance-driven hesitation. Even without active conflict, elevated risk premiums are shaping decisions. Some operators are delaying their entry rather than taking risk exposure. In effect, traffic is moving, but under financial and psychological pressure. Post the ceasefire, Iran's position is shaped by its objective to retain strategic leverage without triggering renewed conflict. Key demands are likely to include, firstly, recognition of security role in the strait. Secondly, acceptance of coordinated or monitored transit mechanisms. And thirdly, indirect acknowledgement of its right to intervene in shipping for security reasons. Additionally, Iran may push for relief from economic pressure and sanctions and informal compliance with shipping operators regarding routing and reporting. Importantly, these demands are rarely framed as formal tolls, but rather in security and stability measures. The US position is rooted in international law. Hormuz is considered an international transit strait where passage cannot be impeded. Operationally, the US reinforces this thought with naval escorts, surveillance, and coalition pressure. Finally, three possible pathways emerge. The first is an international maritime security framework, a neutral multinational mechanism to firstly monitor traffic, secondly ensure safety, and thirdly reduce unilateral control. How do we work out a solution to this problem? Deconfliction arrangements. Quiet agreements between Iran and naval forces for avoiding incidents and maintaining predictable behavior in the Straits. Economic trade-offs. Limited sanctions and relief or incentive in exchange for guaranteed non-interference with shipping. The most viable outcome is not absolute control by either side, but a managed equilibrium by both. And lastly, Hormuz will remain open, but not free of tension. Because in this narrow corridor, control is contested, risk is monetized, and stability is negotiated daily. To Trump, I close with a quote from a poem by Rudyard Kipling, My Boy Jack, written in 1916. It reflects on the grief of a father losing his son who went missing in the Battle of Loos in France. Then hold your head up all the more, this tide and every tide, because he was the son you bore and gave to the wind blowing that tide. After 100 years, pourquoi?